Hi everyone, welcome to our lecture on APA citations and speech outline templates. My name is Sydney and we're going to get started here today. Why do we cite information? It allows us to avoid plagiarism, which keeps us ethical. We want to be ethical communicators. It gives us credibility. It supports our argument, and it allows us to connect with our audience. So it hits on those key points of ethos, logos, and pathos. But it also keeps us out of trouble. According to the American Psychological Association, which is what APA stands for, style guidelines encourage authors to fully disclose essential information and allow researchers to dispense with minor distractions like inconsistencies, omissions in punctuation, in-text citations, anything that you've seen while you're reading through a book that is kind of distracting from the actual text itself. You can see here that we're fully disclosing the essential information, which means the key points that our audience needs to know are touched upon. And then we're getting rid of anything we don't need. So really it's just keeping the essentials in place, making sure that they're backed up with evidence and references, and then getting rid of the rest of the fluff. So how do you create an APA citation? There are instructions at the online writing lab at Purdue. You can Google OWL at Purdue or go to their website, owl.purdue.edu. And then you can also visit the APA website, among others. Your textbook is a great resource on this. You should not use things like EasyBib or Citation Machine. They usually build the citations incorrectly, and then that puts you in another position of trouble. So just do yourself a favor and do them yourself. And then instructions for MLA style or Chicago style are also insufficient. They're different from APA, and you want to make sure that you're using the correct punctuation and emphasis on the text, things like that. So let's say we want to write an APA citation. We need to know the title, the author or authors, and the date of publication. You'll start with the last name, comma, and then initial. They may have just the first initial or the first and middle, the year, and the title. So in this example, we have our title, citing sources rocks, the author, Red E. Rader, and the date of publication, 2015. This is what our citation will look like. You can see we followed the same APA format from the example. Let's say we don't have a date, but we know it's a credible source, then we'll include ND for no date. But you should only do this if you know that the source you've pulled is credible based on other information that you have. Details for the citations will vary from medium to medium. For example, a website citation will look different from a book citation, from a movie citation, from a tweet to an email. Everything is different. So I suggest that you look up the type of citation you're doing just to make sure you've got all the bits and pieces in the right place. But these are a few common things you might run into when citing information for your speeches. You may have multiple authors. The format stays the same. You just use an ampersand in between the names. If it's a website, you'll use the URL at the end of the citation. And if it's a book, we need to know about the publisher if that information is available. So in our example down here, we've got Sage as the publisher and their location. Even something as simple as page numbers will look different based on the medium that you're citing. As you can see here, the page numbers for a book and the page numbers for an article in a journal are presented differently. So these are the kind of minute differences you'll want to look up when you're writing your citations for your speeches. And when in doubt, make sure that it's correct by comparing it to something you trust. It's better to look it up every single time you write a citation than to just guess at it. Now let's move on to outlines. Let's talk about the template and its purpose, how you're going to use an outline in this course, and then what our expectations are of you as you prepare your outlines for these speeches. The outline provided for your use serves a lot of functions. It's a guide to make sure that you include and organize the elements of your speech correctly. We don't want you to miss anything. It reflects the planning you put into your speech, so it really does help you prepare, but it also shows us that you prepared. It contains your APA citations, which we just talked about. And then you can use the content from your outline to build your note cards that you can use during the speech, or you can use the content on a visual aid like a PowerPoint, a poster, anything that's supposed to accompany your speech. When you fill out the outline, do it completely. Use full sentences, don't skip any of the elements, be thorough, but don't write the entire manuscript. You're not delivering the speech from memory, you're delivering it extemporaneously. And then on our second page, we've got our works cited. Remember, you must cite your sources, list them alphabetically by last name, and you can reference those APA guidelines that we talked about earlier. How should you use your outline during your speech in this course? You will not hold the entire outline or any full document while speaking. It's distracting for you to be messing around with a piece of paper while you speak, but it's also distracting to your audience members. You will not read verbatim from the outline document. Again, it's not a manuscript delivery. But you may use note cards to remind yourself of those key points that you need to know, like the names of an author, the date of publishing, a direct quote that you're going to use. Those are the kinds of things you want to move from your outline to your note cards. As always, if you're unsure, just ask or visit our friends at the Online Writing Center at Purdue. It's always better to double check and make sure that it's correct than to just hope for the best. Here are our works cited for this PowerPoint in APA style, of course. Happy citing, happy outlining.